Hari Om, salutations to all. So we were seeing the 11th mantra of third Valli of the second chapter. There it was said, Tam yogamiti manyante sthiram indriya dharanam. Know that to be yoga, which is the control of the senses. Apramattas tada bhavati yogo hi prabhavapyayav. When the mind and the senses completely become still, then that person would come to awaken to the self, and this process will have ups and downs. Yogo hi prabhavapyayo. So we saw the detailed commentary of that. Now the connection between that mantra and the next mantra, from that is where we have to pick up from. So in that Shankaracharya ji says here, Buddhyadi cheshta vishayam chet ब्रह्म इदम तदिति विशेषतो गृह्यते बुद्ध्यादि उपरमे च ग्रहण कारण अभावात् अनुपलभ्यमानं न अस्ति एव ब्रह्म. This doubt keeps coming in the minds of people, as well as it is there throughout the Upanishads. Again and again this doubt will keep coming, that what is there beyond the body, mind, intellect is a blank, is a nothing. There is nothing called Atma. Because earlier it was said that all this, yada panchavatishtante jnanani manasasaha, when all the five senses of knowledge with the mind and intellect, buddhischana vicheshtati, and buddhi also doesn't function. That is the supreme state. So the usual modes of perception are not available. The body, mind and intellect, they are not available to realize the self. So the doubt will always be this, that if this cannot be realized through the buddhi adi cheshta vishayam chet brahma, if this Brahman could be recognized by buddhi, then we can say it is existing. Taditi visheshato griheta. Buddhyadi uparame. But when this buddhi is not there, then there is no way to know that Brahman, grahana karana abhavat, anupalabhyamanam, na asti eva Brahma. And hence he says there is no Brahman at all. So what is the measuring rod to know the reality? My buddhi. In the world also that is what happens or not. God exists or not. What is the deciding factor? My senses or my mind and intellect. That's all. That it is that which is transcending that state of BMI. Even people who have studied, understood, there still remains that skepticism deep down. Maybe it is not true. Maybe really there is no God. So that doubt keeps haunting a person. So here again that same doubt has come. After almost the entire Upanishad getting over, again the doubt has come. So this is not just like a beginner's doubt. This is again somebody who has studied also may have this doubt. If one has reflected properly and one has come to the conclusion and has understood the transcendent nature of the truth, then it won't come. But if one has not studied properly, especially not studied in the traditional way or in the parampara, systematically, randomly here, there, one has studied some books, confusion galore. So that's why he says here, now that doubt has again come. Yadi karana gocharam tadasti iti prasiddham loke. Sorry, yadhi, not yadi. Yadhi karana gocharam tadasti iti prasiddham loke viparitam cha asat iti ataha cha anarthako yogaha. So it is very popular in the world, it is commonly known in the world that what is known through the karana is the body, mind, intellect, instrument. What is known through the instrument exists. कर्णगोचरम तदस्ति इति प्रसिद्धम लोके विपरीतम च असत. What is not experienceable by the BMI is asat. It does not exist. And so whatever yoga you are doing is useless. Iti ataha anarthako yoga. Both those verses which spoke about yoga earlier, one spoke about Paramgati and then the other one spoke about yoga. Tam yogam iti manyante sthiram indriya dharana. To unite with the absolute self, the body, mind, intellect, everything must be still. He says this yoga that you are practicing is useless because there is nothing called consciousness. Anupalabhyamanatvat va na asti iti upalabdhavyam brahma iti evam prapta idam uchyate satyam. So he says here that anupalabhyamanatvat va na asti iti upalabdhavyam. Yeah, because it is not experienceable by the senses, hence it does not exist. Na asti iti upalabdhavyam brahma. If this is the conclusion, evam prapta idam uchyate satyam. To negate that, to refute this notion, idam uchyate satyam. Now it is said. So the next mantra is, next two mantras are actually for that. That Atma is existence. It never becomes non-existent. So that Satyam means that Sat, pure existence, which exists in 3 periods of time. So that is the mantra 12. Naiva vacha na manasa praptum shakyo na chakshusha asti ti bruvato nyatra katham tadupalabhyate. So he says here, Naiva vacha na manasa, neither by the speech nor by the mind, praptum shakyaha, it is possible to grasp this. Na chakshusha, nor by the senses. Which the doubt which was raised, that also said. But the difference is that it said that because it is not graspable by the mind, intellect and the senses, it does not exist. So the second line of the mantra says, Asti iti bruvato anyatra katham tadupalabhyati. Only those people who say it is, they can realize it. Because if you keep saying it does not exist, what will you realize? Existence can be realized by people who understand existence exists. Existence does not exist, then what will you realize? Nothing is there to realize, actually. So he says, Katham tad upalabhyate. How else can you realize it except existence? Isness is a positive state. Non-existence is a negative state. I mean, it does not exist. What did I realize? It does not exist. But who am I? That question is enough. Who realized the non-existence? If existence, if the ultimate reality is a blank, who realized that blank? I. So who is that I? So body, mind, intellect. No, body, mind, intellect don't realize. When the person transcends body, mind, intellect, there is something. What is that? That can't be said to be non-existent. Because you are aware of absence of BMI, so you exist. So how can it be non-existence? And who is that you is what is to be questioned. Because if my identity is body, mind, intellect at this moment, that I have transcended, then what is the experience there? It can't be non-existence. It can be experienced only as existence. And that's why it says, Asti iti bruvato anyatra katham tad upalabhyate. There is no other way to experience this. So now let us see what the commentary says. Naiva vacha na manasa chakshusha na anyai indriyai na anyairapi indriyaihi praptum shakyate iti arthaha. Neither by mind nor by the speech nor by any other senses can it be grasped, is what has to be understood. Tathapi sarva vishesha rahitopi jagato moolam iti avagatatvad asti eva karya pravilapanasya astitva nishthatvat. So he says here that though it is devoid of all specific attributes, because if something is an object and it has specific attributes, then that can be experienced by the body, mind, intellect, because it is finite, tangible, graspable. But here it is sarva vishesha rahita. It has no such qualities, attributes. Pure existence, consciousness doesn't have any such. But it is still the substratum of the world, jagataha moolam. Why? Because from non-existence something doesn't come out. If the world has come out, it has come out from some existence. From Sat only this whole universe can manifest. From Asat, nothing can manifest. Even logic says that something can come out from something. An effect will come out from cause. If the cause is non-existent, from non-existent cause an effect is never seen produced. So though it is of the nature of, it is pure existence where there are no special attributes, qualities, it is still the substratum of the world, jagataha moolam, iti avagatatvad asti eva karya. And hence it is of the nature of existence. Secondly, when this world merges back, karya means the world, karana is the cause. So if the effect merges, in what does it merge? It doesn't merge into nothing. It merges into something from where again it will come back. No, but that we don't know. Creation, no, when creation pralay happens and in what it merges into and from what it will come out, how do we know? Our example is there. The Upanishad already said in the beginning, in the earlier part, what is out there is in here. Yadeva iha tadamutra yadamutra tadanviha. So macrocosm and microcosm. This is a miniature srishti. That is the macrocosm. So every night in deep sleep, the body, mind, intellect become unmanifest. In what? Into nothingness? No. They don't become non-existent completely. They become unmanifest. So the karya, the effect becomes as though merged or unmanifest in what? In something which is positive existence, from which again it emerges back in the same way without any changes. Deep sleep we go through every night, our body, mind, intellect becomes unmanifest. Again it comes back. So it did not become a zero. Continuity is there. So here also, iti avagatatvat asti eva karya pravilapanasya astitva nishthatvat. This whole universe in the same way, when the pralay happens, it merges and again it emerges from that cause. That cause cannot be as blank. Tathahi idam karyam Sukshma Taratamya Paramparyena Anugamyamanam Sad Buddhi Nishtham Eva Avagamayati. And this is one important line. This whole universe we know, which comes out in a sequence, Taratamya. It merges back also in a sequence. Sukshma Taratamya Paramparyena Anugamyamanam. So this sequence itself is a proof from where it came into that it goes back. So what do we see? What is the sequence? The senses, mind, intellect, that we know. Our senses merge into the mind, mind merges into the intellect, intellect merges into the total intellect. You remember the earlier mantras have come in Kathopanishad. This total intellect will merge into Avyakta. And this Avyakta merges into what? Pure consciousness. Which we call as Purusha. It was said earlier, Sakashtha Saparagatihi. Indriyani Paranyahuhu Indriyabhyascha Paramanaha Manasastu Parabuddhi Yo Buddhe Paratastu Saha. This is in the Gita also it comes, in the Kathopanishad also it comes. That Purusha is the ultimate. Sakashtha Saparagatihi. This Avyakta merges back into Purusha. It doesn't merge back into zero. So the very process, or the sequence in which it came out and the sequence in which it goes back itself proves the existence of the reality. Yadapi Vishaya Pravilapanena Pravilapyamana Buddhihi Tadapi Sa Satya Pratyaya Garbhaiva Viliyate. The same thing. When the sense objects, Vishaya Pravilapanena, when the sense objects merge in the Buddhi, Buddhi Tadapi, and where does the Buddhi merge? That has to be a Sat only. Sat Pratyaya Garbhaiva Viliyate. It cannot merge back into non-existence. And so the very process of creation as well as dissolution or manifestation and unmanifestation, even at individual level, both prove very clearly that there has to be a positive state. It is not a state of blank. Buddhirhi naha pramanam sadasat toho yathatmya avagame. So when the objection was raised that if Buddhi is not available there, mind and senses not available there, then that means it does not exist. So that logic was used. Now that same Buddhi has been used here to refute that false logic. He's saying here that Buddhi itself is the proof of the existence of the truth. Why? Because into what does the Buddhi merge? Even in deep sleep, into what does the Buddhi merge? And from what does the Buddhi emerge? That state is not a non-existent. So even if Buddhi is not functioning there, when one comes out of that state, one can infer with the Buddhi only, ki where did this Buddhi merge? And from where did it emerge? That has to be a positive state of consciousness or existence. It cannot be a zero or a blank. So he says, Buddhi hi naha pramanam. This Buddhi itself is our pramana. Sadasatoho yathatmya avagame. To understand the true nature of what is Sat and what is Asat, the Buddhi itself is the pramana. Because in Asat it will not go. Because if it goes into Asat, it will become Asat. it becomes non-existence. Then how it will come back? It can't come back. It became non-existent. Means it got destroyed, finished. But every night it goes into unmanifest, again comes back. That means it has gone and it has not become non-existent. It has only become temporarily unmanifest in the substratum, which is the truth. So it is existence. So the same buddhi whose absence is used to say that the truth does not exist is the same buddhi whose presence, whose unmanifest and the manifest state is given as the example to conclude that truth has to exist, and that buddhi is the pramana for it, because it gets merged into that state and again emerges from that state. Moolam chet jagatah na syat asat anvitam eva idam karyam asad ityevam गृह्येत न तु एतदस्ति सत् असत् इति एव तु गृह्यते. See, if the ultimate cause was non-existent, the effect also has to be non-existent or not. How can the cause which is non-existent produce an effect which is existent? That's why it says moolam chet jagataha na syat. If the root cause, the main cause is a non-existent, asad anvitam eva idam karyam, then this entire effect, the world, should have been non-existent. Because existence is not produced from non-existence. Existence produces existence, non-existence produces non-existence. Simple. Because if we say non-existence produces existence, there is a lot of problem. That means there is an effect without a cause. Because cause is non-existent. No, that means effect just got produced. Then there is so much of problem in this world. In the world, there is cause and effect which works. If there is a tree, there has to be a seed. If there is a human being, there has to be the parents. Because that is a cause, and it's a positive cause. If that becomes non-existent, that means effect is getting produced randomly. From where? From nothing. How strange is that? World will go, everything will go insane. So he says, no, that is what is very clearly evident is that if there is an effect, there is a cause, and that cause is a positive existence. If you say cause is non-existent, then the effect also should be non-existent. But we are seeing all this existing. So even from the effect standpoint, if we analyze, we will know that there has to be a cause. So, moolam chet jagataho na syat asad anvitam eva idam karyam asad iti evam grihyeta na tu etad asti. But that is not what we experience, that all this is asat. No, we experience it as existent. Sad asad iti eva tu grihyeta. सत्सदिति एव तु गृह्येतः. यथा मृदादि कार्यम घटादि मृदाद्यन्वितम. Just like the pots, ghata adi, they are the effects. Now they have come from where? From the mud. Now where is that mud? That mud permeates the entire pot. Mridadi anvitam. The mud does not remain aloof. Mud permeates the entire pot, meaning the effect is nothing but cause in another form. Mud in another form is the pot. So if the mud did not exist, the pot would not be produced. The very fact that pot is shows that mud is. Why? Because mud is alone appearing as the pot. In fact, cause alone exists. Effect does not exist. Independent of the cause, there is no effect. Cause alone exists. We are looking at the mud and we are calling it pot. That name, pot, is only word, speech. And this form of the pot is only form of the mud only. So this name and form, they are an appearance. The mud is the reality. Same way, this whole universe, there are different objects, people, things, all that. They are an appearance of the absolute reality, which is a existence, which is the ultimate source from where the Maya comes, from where five elements come, and then this whole universe is created, and we see the names and forms. These names and forms are appearances of existence only. But we don't see the existence. We think of these names and forms independently existing away from the cause. It is like saying there is pot without mud, and pot exists on its own. How can the pot exist on its own? There is nothing called pot without mud. And you are negating that mud. So in technicality, if we see, we are seeing existence and we are questioning, does existence exist? What is there without body, mind, intellect? You know, when you transcend BMI, it is a non-existence. You are seeing existence only in this form, and forgetting it is existence in appearance in this form. One is saying there is nothing called existence, it is only ultimately non-existence. Then what is all this? Non-existence doesn't appear as all this, because non-existence is non-existence. How does it produce anything? That's why he says that this is a law of cause and effect. What Gurudev taught us, three simple laws, they are all from here. If there is an effect, there has to be a cause. Law number one. Effect is nothing but cause in another form. That is what this argument right now is. And from the effect, if cause is removed, nothing remains. Meaning the effect doesn't remain. If the mud is removed completely from the pot, there is nothing called pot. There is only mud. Which means that even when I am seeing the pot, it is only mud. But I am calling it as pot to only functionally differentiate it from a pitcher or a cup or a saucer. But all the four are mud only. Pot and pitcher and cup and saucer, they all are mud. Now I got so identified to the name and form of pot and cup and pitcher and saucer. Now I am saying which mud, what mud? There is no mud, there is ultimate reality which is non-existence. One is negating one's own cause also. Even as an effect, one is negating one's own cause. If the effect negates one's own cause, the effect becomes non-existent. Cause doesn't become non-existent. That is the thing to be understood. This effect is trying to negate the cause, retaining itself. How is that possible? This mud, if it is removed, this pot, if it is said there is nothing called mud, the pot only won't exist to even debate about the effect, debate about the cause, mud. Mud will remain because mud is different, meaning mud is the cause. It can remain without the effect. Effect cannot remain without cause. The universe cannot be without existence, but existence can be without the universe. So that's why he says here that's the law of cause and effect argument. Hence, the conclusion in this next line is Tasmat Jagatah Moolam Atma Asti Iti Eva Upalabdhavyah. Hence, the cause of this universe is the Atma. This has to be the conclusion. Then only this can be realized. If acceptance of existence is there, then existence can be realized as the self. But if that acceptance is not there, there is no other way to realize. That's why he says the mantra is actually like a question. Asti iti bruvato anyatra katham tadupalabhyate. How else is it to be realized except as existence? it cannot be realized as a non-existence. There is no other way. Nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. There is no other way to realize this except that it is existence, which never becomes non-existent. So, kasmat asti iti bruvato अस्तित्ववादिनः आगमार्थान अनुसारिणः आगमार्थ अनुसारिणः श्रद्धानात् अन्यत्र नास्तिकवादिनी न अस्ति जगतो मूलम आत्मा निरन्वयम् एव इदं कार्यम् अभावान्तं प्रविलीयते इति मन्यमाने विपरीत दर्शिनी कथम तद ब्रह्म तत्वत उपलभ्यते न कथंचन उपलभ्यत इति अर्थः. So now what does it say here? How to realize this now? So the conclusion is Atma is existent, it is not non-existent. That whole argument we just saw, how it is the cause of this whole universe, and hence the effect, the existence of the effect proves the existence of the cause, and the effect is in a positive state of existence, not a blank, not a non-existent effect. So the cause also exists. That argument when we have understood, now how to realize this? So he says here that Agamartha अनुसारिणः श्रद्धानात् अन्यत्र. Those who are having that faith that it exists, plus they have realized, from such people we have to go and with faith seek knowledge from them. For them now it is not a faith. They had faith in the beginning, they walked the path, now it is their experience. So they are experiencing the state of pure consciousness, existence, bliss, satyam, shivam, sundaram or Satchidanand. From such people only we can learn about this. Shraddhadhanad anyatra. How will you go to a other person who is believing in non-existence? Nastikavadini na asti jagata moolam. This buddhi which says that there is no cause of this whole universe, it is just random, it just got produced, which is what people say, no? Why is there God required? Why is there ultimate cause required? It just is. It's self-created. Arey, this universe doesn't function like self-created. There is a cause and effect everywhere. In the whole universe we see play of cause and effect. How can the universe by itself come without a cause? So now when they say, when such arguments are there and such people are Gnostic, where they say God does not exist, means ultimate cause does not exist. The world is an effect on its own, randomly created, randomly going on, and it's by chance it has just happened. So Nastikavadini na asti jagata moolam atma niranvayam eva idam. And they say there is nothing called Atma. Niranvayam idam. Karyam abhavantam praviliyate. And this effect will merge into nothingness. Iti manyamane, if those who believe this, viparita darshini, who has this opposite view, katham tad brahma tattvata upalabhyate. How will you realize Brahman from them? Because they themselves have not realized, one, their buddhi only has not got clear logic. Forget experiential proof. Logic only is flawed. When one says that there is no God, logic only is flawed. Because effect has come from no cause. That means you are a product of not your parents. You deny your own existence, your own parents' existence. So he says the logic also is not there, experience also is not there. How will you realize truth from them? So the only way to realize is from those people who not only say it exists but also who have experienced that state. Asti iti bruvato anyatra. Suppose even if they have not experienced it, even if they are not Brahmanistha, at least they are Shrotriya, they have studied the scripture and they are able to say that no, the truth is an existence, it is not a non-existence. Only from such people can I learn, because what is there to realize? Not non-existence. What is there to realize is a positive state of existence. There is nothing called non-existence which I have to strive to realize. What? Non-existence. Non-existence is not the goal. To realize existence is the goal. So he says, Katham tad brahma tattvata upalabhyate, na kathanchana upalabhyate iti arthaha. There is no way to realize this from the non-believer. The only way to realize is go to the person who says it exists and go there with faith. There's nothing wrong in questioning to try and understand this. So we are seeing how much questioning is there in all this. So the scripture doesn't say don't ask questions, just believe blindly. No, faith is based on questioning. The more clarity and conviction comes, the more that faith increases. Then why faith is required? Because today it is not my experience. But logically I understand that it exists. That ultimate reality is a positive existence. And that is what can be experienced by me. And if the Guru is Brahmanishta, the Guru is already experiencing that. So that faith is necessary. That's why it was said, Agamartha Anusarinaha Shraddhadhanat. The scriptural knowledge one must follow and one must have faith. The buddhi must be given the direction through both these. That's why Shastra is important. Time-tested wisdom it is. Second, the Guru who has studied that Shastra, who has come to the right conclusion, and that person is striving on the path. Or the Guru has studied the Shastra and realized the absolute truth. That is the second aspect. And then the third aspect is go to such people and study the Shastra, develop the Shraddha and the intense desire to know that, Mumukshutvam, then only it can be realized. Have the faith that I can realize it and walk the path. Keep reasserting that the ultimate goal is to realize Sat, Chit, Anand. Ultimate goal is not to realize Asat, Achit and Dukkha or a Shunya. No. So this mantra is to say that there is no other way. If you want to realize the truth, go to such people who have the clarity, who have that experience and who say that self is. The company of such people will make us realize the absolute. Think about it. What will the company of a non-believer do to me? What is the ultimate state in a non-believer's thinking? That there is zero, there is nothing. So now how to live my life? How does it matter? Because the ultimate reality is a shunya. So why morality, why ethics, why self-control, what? One will live at body, mind, intellect level because at beyond body, mind, intellect, nothing exists. So why should I even bother? So live as a jiva. Live enjoying life. Don't bother about all these things. Even if one doesn't do anything immoral, I'm not saying anybody who is a non-believer can break morality and become wild. That may not be necessary. But what is the purpose? And is this purpose cooked up by us? That is another thing to think about. Because many people think that God is a creation of human mind to give purpose. Otherwise, there is no God. It is only to give a certain purpose to people that God has been invented. All these things are cooked up by the non-believers nicely, and we lap it up also. God is not created by human mind for purpose. Whether human mind has purpose or not, God exists. Even the non-believer goes through deep sleep state or not, where the buddhi becomes unmanifest or not. So the logic given in this is irrefutable logic. If one goes by this logic, it will be very clear. How is God a product of one's human mind's creation? Human mind is a product of God's creation. If the presence of the divine is not there in this body and mind and intellect, they can't function. Electricity is not a product of the bulb. Electricity exists independent of the bulb. Same way, consciousness existence exists independent of the BMI. It doesn't need the BMI. BMI needs it. But if I think that this is functioning on its own, then I am deluded. Then why is it that the other things, when we see, why do we call something as ancient and inert? Subtle body is not enlivened in the inert. There is no subtle body in the inert. So how is the subtle body functioning? Because of consciousness only. So how is God produced by the subtle body? Subtle body is only functioning because of this God. No, this is all your imagination. Where is the imagination in that? Think about that. When the deep sleep state, including Samadhi Avastha, in both these states, the subtle body is completely dormant, but I still feel my presence. I am. Nobody feels absence and nobody says I was not existent in deep sleep and suddenly now I become existent. That is not possible. That doesn't happen. So who created whom? God did not create, man did not create this God. Okay, forms you may say, that also Shastra is very clear that forms of the Lord exist. We may not believe. Great masters have had the experience and darshan also and final abidance also, and for them consciousness alone is real, and that consciousness is felt in the heart as aham, aham, aham. And that same consciousness is the cause of the universe as Ishvara, and they have had darshan of that Ishvara also. So it is not that God has been produced by human mind. It's all illogical thinking, which is portrayed as great logic and open-mindedness or modern outlook, and those who believe God, they are conservative or they are superstitious. Now, in the world that goes on. There's a book, The God Delusion. Read that book. Every single argument in that book can be destroyed by Shankaracharya's arguments very easily and very clearly. But that book is so popular, young minds, they read it and then they conclude, I am an atheist, there is no God. So what is the conclusion then? Because there is no God, what to do? Don't struggle for all that. Don't go to spirituality. Live at the sensory level. Khao, piyo, mauj karo, bas. That's the objective of life then. The animal is doing that. Animal at least is doing it in control. Human being is doing it without control. So who is greater then? Animal has instinctive control, it will stop. Human being doesn't have, because buddhi has been given, choice is there. So human being goes on and on and on. Whole life just goes in that. Eat, drink, enjoy. What else is there? Become popular in the world. Beyond that, there is nothing more. Why? Because God does not exist. As though one has become so unburdened. Oh, thank God, God does not exist. And the same people, when they go through tough times, they will question, why this happened to me? Why are you questioning now? Ultimate cause is nothing. Na? You came from nothing. So why are you questioning why this happened to me? Because it just happened. Because that's your logic. The effect doesn't have a cause. It just comes. So sorrow also just came. Now accept. Now why you are crying? No, I met with an accident or somebody broke my heart. Why did this happen to me? I did all good things in life. Oh, very good. Now you came back to cause and effect. So think about that. It's very funny. One has not thought through properly, and then one calls that as intelligence or delusion. Our scriptures give out very clearly this, and it is, you can apply this by yourself. It is not telling to believe blindly. It is giving proper logic and proofs and says, now you decide. If you want to realize, you realize. Ultimate truth is this. Now comes the next mantra. So that's why I said this 12 and 13 are they are together. Tasmadhi Tasmad apohya asadva asadvadi paksham asuram. The people who are having the paksha as asat, those who say that non-existence is the reality, this bhashya is say they are asuri. You may say, what is this? It's so bad. Why are they being labeled as asuras? Well, I told you, the meaning of the word asura, see, when we say asura, now we think that, oh my God, they are some dark creatures and black, and they have red tongue and they have some horns and they are terrible looking. Arey, that is a depiction. Asu means prana. Asushu ramate yaha sa asuraha. One who goes on reveling only in sense enjoyments and destroying the prana shakti, that person is called asura. And those who say that the reality is non-existent, they will revel in only in sense enjoyments, no? Because there is no higher purpose. What else is the purpose? So to reject that opinion, earlier mantra already rejected it. Now this 13th mantra also emphasizes that the reality is, and only one who believes it is can realize it is. If one does not believe it is, one cannot realize it. That's why the importance of Shraddha here now. And this mantra will sound very confusing. Anyway, read that and then we will see. Asti tyevopalabdhavyah tattva bhavena chobhayoho. Asti tyevopalabdhasya tattva bhava prasidati. Asti iti eva upalabdhavyah tattva bhavena. The ultimate reality exists. Asti iti eva upalabdhavya. In that way only it can be realized. Tattva bhavena, in its essence. And one who accepts that the ultimate reality is an existence, then astiti eva upalabdhasya tattva bhava prasidati. Then this person will come to experience that state. So intellectual conviction comes first, then comes the realization. If at intellectual level itself I do not accept existence, then the realization is not possible. That's why it says cha ubhayoho. One who says that intellectually truth is existence, and because one has that clarity that there is the ultimate truth which is existence, awareness and bliss, who intellectually is convinced of that, in that person's life there will be this attempt to realize it and one will realize it. च उभयोः अस्ति इति एव उपलब्धस्य तत्वभाव प्रसीदति. And this person who is a seeker goes to such a master so that he or she can realize it. So the master who has concluded that there is existence as the absolute reality and it is not a non-existence, and because that person has thought in that way, has a clarity, that person has put efforts to realize and has realized it. This seeker can also realize truth only when the seeker goes to such people. Asti iti eva upalabdhasya tatvabhava prasidati. This prasidati meaning the seeker will realize this tattva bhav only when the seeker goes to such a person. Either what we said earlier, either has to be intellectually convinced or both should be there, intellectual conviction and experience, both. Towards such people when one goes, then the realization of existence as the reality will happen to the seeker. So now the commentary of this, I will take up in the next class because it's quite long. I don't want to stop that in between. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.